Hello everyone. All right, so this is the beginning of my series on AWS. So I call this series AWS and I. What the series is about is all about AWS services. So we're going to be doing a whole lot of practicals on AWS services, how you can make use of them. So it's going to be a long series. I'm going to be teaching on several of AWS services. So this is the introductory part of this series. This is actually something you can call episode one. So looking at it, let's start by saying what is AWS. Now, before we can start talking about what AWS is, we have to talk about something that is very important, which is cloud computing, because AWS is actually a cloud computing service. So, what is cloud computing in the first sense and first place, or how did cloud computing actually come to become what it is now? You know, before now, we usually have the on-prem kind of way of having servers. So on-prem means on premises, which means you have your servers with you. You are the one managing your servers by yourself. So you have to. So when you work with some of these companies, you see server rooms and all this. Now the challenge about this is this. You know, in this regular on-prem way, it means we own your hardware, you will own everything about your server, the maintenance, everything, and a typical server also ought to be working 24/7. So you can imagine the maintenance and the cost of having your server run 24/7. Now, one of the challenges about this is let's assume you set up a server to the capacity of 2 terabytes. Now, as you begin to grow and you now discover that, oh, you need a server to a tune of, let's say, 5 terabytes, it means you have a few options, which include either you look for a way to buy more servers, or you discard the 2 terabyte and buy 5 terabyte. And when you look at the way many of these hard disks are done, they're done in such a way that there are ways they number them. So it's possible you are able to find 2 terabyte hard disk, but you won't be able to find 3 terabyte hard disk. So if in the market you only have 2 terabyte, 5 terabyte, 10 terabyte, it means you have to discard your 2 terabyte and go buy a new 5 terabyte, since you can't get 3 terabyte at this. What that means is that 2 terabyte is wasted. So you either have to probably resell it, throw it away, or something. So this is an issue. How about if you are using like 5 terabyte and you have a reason to scale down because you realize your traffic doesn't really need so much like that anymore? There's nothing you can do. You can't scale down because you have already purchased the 5 terabyte. You can't just take it back to the market and all. So these are some of the challenges. So you can't decide to scale your hardware automatically, no. And the cost of having all of these hardwares, they are not cheap. This is one of the challenges of on-prem services, of on-prem servers. So you have to pay a whole lot to set up a whole server. If you know the cost of setting up server, it's not that cheap. So looking at all of these challenges, then we came to the point where we start talking about cloud computing. And cloud computing is all about, okay, you don't have to own your hardware. So there is a big company somewhere who has the capacity, the money, and everything, so to set up a server to whatever capacity you need. So all they are saying is pay us, and we will be able to host your, server for you. You can have your infrastructures run on our hardware. So in that sense, you don't need to pay for the cost of the hardware. You don't need to worry about maintenance. You don't need to worry about security. All of that, they maintain it. They take care of that. So all you need to do is to pay them, and then you get your services. So, and the beauty of this is it gives you that flexibility for scalability. So you can say, oh, today I need 5 terabyte, give me 5 terabyte capacity. In another 5 minutes, I feel, oh no, I need more than 5 terabyte. They give it to you instantly. So you can't do that when you have your on-prem. You have to think about a whole lot that needs to go into it. So these flexibilities are not there among several other uh, benefits of cloud computing. And among all of these cloud computing service providers, we have the top three, which include uh, Amazon. Uh, this is this AWS, which is Amazon Web Services. We have Microsoft Azure. We have GCP, which is owned by Google. And on all of these three, the most widely used happens to be AWS. So if you are learning AWS, you're actually learning the most used cloud service provider in the world. So, and this is because AWS has a whole lot of services, a whole lot, a whole lot. And these are some of the things I want to do in this series. I'm going to take several of these services, explain them, and it is going to be a long journey. So when you look at the whole digital age of today, businesses are increasing, and these days, so they are relying on cloud computing services to power their operations. So they always need someone who has experience in all of these things, who has the knowledge. And that is why it's good for you to learn about AWS, because AWS actually stand out among every other cloud computing platform because of their wide range of services, which meets diverse business needs and all that. So I'm going to be talking about a few of AWS services or a few of. Before we go into that, let me just speak of a few of the importance of AWS, which include number one, innovation and agility. With AWS, you can think of innovation. It provides you with these robust infrastructures. So it helps you to rapidly innovate in your business because they have wide range of services that can help you on that. The agile way of doing things, AWS will actually, assist you on that. Now, talking about scalability and elasticity, as I've explained earlier, this is one of the things you will get with AWS. It gives you that advantage. You can scale down, you can scale up within a twinkle of an eye. So you don't need to, take so long before you do this. And you have that elasticity there. It gives you that accommodation, to grow without disrupting things. So you can always grow your infrastructures at your pace as you want. And it is highly reliable. That's another thing. So AWS services are reliable and they are always available. In fact, the availability is 24/7. And the percentage of reliability of most of their services are like 99.9. That's to tell you how reliable the AWS services are. And when you now talk about the cost effectiveness, when you look at the cost of owning an on-prem server and then the cost of using the AWS services, you can see a whole lot of difference. So the cost is actually it's actually cost effective when you look at it in some ways and try to justify the two together. So among several other importance. So let's talk about some of the AWS services. So I'm just going to touch a few of them. AWS has a whole lot of services. So I'm just going to touch a few of them. One of the most popular AWS service is actually EC2. EC2 is Elastic Cloud Compute or Elastic Compute Cloud. So EC2 is like you are provisioning your server. So EC2 is actually a server. We call it EC2 instances or EC2 instance. So it's you having a virtual server. Just look at it that way. So with EC2, you can have a virtual server which you can decide to turn on, turn off at your will, and you can you can do anything with it, and it's highly scalable, and it has diverse range of storages which you can decide. So you can say, oh, I just need 5 or 8 gigabyte for my server, and you can say, no, I need as much as 100 gigabyte for my server. You just tell AWS what you need and you get it. So that is one. Another service is AWS S3, which is S3 means simple storage service. So just look at it as a storage service. So you want to store your file, you want to store your pictures, anything. So you can always have them saved on AWS S3. And like I told you, AWS is like 99.9 reliable. So you can be sure that whatsoever you save on this S3, you always get them there. So S3 is one of the major services of AWS, which is majorly for storage. And another service is their database. You can't be talking about our website and all that and not be talking about databases. So AWS has this we call it AWS RDS. RDS means relational database services. So AWS has this, which enables you to provision your your database. So it is managed by AWS. So you can be sure of the effectiveness, and it gives you this scalability, which is something very good for you as as the owner. And then it gives you this. You can set up an auto backup on your RDS. Now, by the time we start treating about RDS, you see how you can get all of this done. Another service which I will just mention just to end this would be Lambda. Lambda is a serverless compute service. So we call it AWS Lambda. So it allows you to run your code without actually provisioning or managing servers. So, and it has its own way of payment. You can do pay as you use. You can so the more you use is what you pay. So you don't pay for what you don't use, and it allows a wide range of languages, Node.js, Python, Java, and many more languages which you can run using AWS server. Sorry, AWS Lambda. So these are just a few of the many services by AWS. So you see, so in conclusion, let me just say AWS has they have become the preferred choice for businesses. It's not just because they are there; it's because the services are numerous, and you can enjoy a wide range of services with AWS. So if you have made up your mind today that you want to learn AWS, I can tell you, you just made a very beautiful choice. So on this series, we're going to be learning a whole lot. So this is just a welcome to this series. So it's AWS and I. That's just the name of this series. So if you have not subscribed to my channel, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on my social media handles. So I will be posting a whole lot of videos about all of this. So this is just the beginning, guys. I'll see you in my next video. Take care of yourself and keep learning.